Thursdays are now John Schneider Day, and he said something yesterday. Look, he talked about Geno Smith. You've heard the promos. Basically, he said, we're in it, but didn't say all that much. I didn't think that was the most interesting thing he said. I want to play you some sound from John Schneider that I think helps me understand not just the Geno Smith situation, but everything he's up to right now. This was Schneider yesterday on the debut of the John Schneider Show on with Wyman and Bob.
At this point last year, Russell Wilson was our quarterback, and, all the push, the trade stuff and all that, hadn't happened yet. And then, now we started getting into all this and, there was all, a lot of talk, and then we headed down a road. So, yeah, you have to be ready for, A, B, C. And the cool thing about working with Pete is he's very pliable. His mind is I know you guys have interviewed him before. He can just keep going, and he can accept all the information. So you can literally say to him, I've worked with people that can't do that. Their mind doesn't work as quickly as his does, and they don't process the information or as quickly, or they're not open to all the different scenarios because they have to fix something, in a specific order.
I think that's really interesting. To me, it sounds like what John and I guess Pete are great at doing, and I'm sure you have to, as a GM like John in spots like this, is processing multiple if-then scenarios. If this, then that. If A, then B. If Geno signs for X, then we only can do Y. If Geno leaves, then we need to bring in so-and-so. If we can get him at this price, then we can, spend some money on this other need of ours. If we get the guy we want in the draft, then we can trade away this pick. If we don't and this guy is gone, then we want to do. He's got to process an infinite number of if-then scenarios based on a million different ifs. And it dawns on me that is among the most important things that any general manager, especially in football, it's true in all sports, but especially in football because of the sheer number of people on your roster, because of the 53 guys that you're dealing with at once, and the salary cap and the draft being as important as it is in that sport, and then throw in the quarterback situation, which is everything for these guys, for these teams. Yeah, it's. I never thought of it that way. I think we all sort of know that that's what a GM has to do, and that when one thing happens, you've got to react. But it's about having a plan, and that's what they're doing right now, is running through all of those if-then scenarios. And you got to be able to process, as he says there, many of them at the same time. So why do Pete and John work together so well? They've lasted here, 13 years together as a tandem, something that I think most of us did not think at the very beginning would work because of the sort of amorphous structure between them. We weren't exactly sure, okay, who's in charge, et cetera. And Pete was always like, no, we're not, no one's in charge. We just kind of work on it together. I think it became clear over time that Pete was more in charge than he was letting on in that moment. And over time, I think John has grown in the organization more and more so. But why do they work so well together? Because they're not exactly the same. Trust me. I've spent a little time with both of them. They are not the same. They are not wired the same way at all. But if they both have this skill in common, an ability to walk down multiple roads at the same time, I can see why that's led to some of the success that they've had together. So really good. I really enjoyed that from Schneider. And I think it's a very big leading window into where they're at with Geno Smith, more so than his answer on Geno Smith. The answer is we're in it. We'll see what happens. But the real answer is, hey, look, we're processing multiple scenarios at the same time. And all of those have to start with what do you do with the quarterback position? Because it leads to what do you do with the number 5 pick? It leads to what do you do in free agency? It leads to what do you do with the rest of your picks? It leads to what do you trade? You got to get the quarterback thing figured out first. So is it going to be Geno? And is it going to be at the price you want? If so, plan A. Is it not going to be Geno? Plan B. Is it going to be Geno at a price that you didn't want to go to, but at some point you felt like you had to? Well, it's plan C, right? And I'm sure that the alphabet is not enough. 26 plans probably doesn't do it for all the various scenarios that are out there for the Seahawks at the quarterback spot and then beyond and everything that goes with it. So I think that's actually more telling and does continue to tell me that they are considering very highly the possibility that Geno might not be here and the fact that he might be.